Okay, everybody, so today's is a little different. Today, I am in DC, and I am right now in the International Spy Museum. Let me show you. How cool is this? Yeah. So, right now, we are going to talk today in our live group coaching. Actually, I'm having to film this and upload it, and Coach Bren is managing the comments for me on the other side because for some reason YouTube is not letting me do it live in here. But I'm still doing it, and I will promptly upload just as soon as I can. So, while we're at the Spy Museum and doing a live group coaching, I want to focus today on questions I get a lot of. And that is, how do I focus on safety when I am in the middle of post-separation? Now, there's two types of focus on safety. One is before you've even gotten out. We'll do another group coaching on that one because that's a different approach than after you've gotten out. After you've gotten out, there are times, so many times, where I get stories from women, maybe this is one of you, cases where weird things start happening. Maybe you're in a post-separation custody battle, or you're still in court. Maybe it's been a few years. Maybe you're just getting out of it. But very often there is this sense that, like, how does the other side know these things that they're not even supposed to know? And where are they getting this information? Because I thought that I had been really discreet, but here they have information that I have not handed over, that I haven't told a bunch of people. And it can be really crazy making when you are dealing with feeling like you don't have any privacy, you don't have any sense of stability or safety, even though you're out and, like, technically you're safe, right? But you're not living in the abuse anymore, but you still feel like you're going crazy. And oftentimes, it's so many little things that if you tell someone any of these little things on their own, it makes you sound crazy, right? I know of cases where women knew they were being monitored or cyber stalked or harassed, but they couldn't prove it. They knew that the weird phone calls were from their ex or his friends, but they couldn't prove it. They knew that when they got home and they found four pine cones lined up on their front step, and the kids hadn't been home and nobody else had come over, that it was because their ex had come to the house. They knew that when their car hood was popped when they came out of the grocery store, that someone had been tampering with their vehicle. They knew that their phone had been hacked through Bluetooth connection. They knew that somehow there was access to their iMessages or their Google Maps searches. Now, we have a whole toolkit in the Sisterhood with the expert tools, where I interview a safety expert and we talk about Faraday cages and how to keep your devices from being hacked, from being traced, from being tracked. So you could get all the stuff from the toolkit. I'm not going to repeat all of that here, but today I want to talk about the psychological aspect of that kind of situation. Because when we are dealing with trying to stay sane in the middle of post-separation abuse and cyber stalking or other kinds of stalking, it can make you feel like you need to become a spy. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at analysis, secrets, puzzles, mysteries here at the Spy Museum. And I'm like, sometimes it is important to take steps. So we're going to talk about two things. Some steps you can take that are just practical. You're not alone in this situation. But also, before we're done today, we're also going to talk about things that you can do to help signal to your body that you are safe. And those are tips from Coach Bren on the trauma side. So, when you're dealing with feeling unsafe after you've left, there are a few areas where we tend to leak information, we don't even realize it. One is just our social media and our technology. And another is through feeling guilty about trimming down our friends online and the stuff that we say to people. We feel obligated to give people answers. We feel obligated to keep people on our Facebook account. Excuse me. You're not. You're not obligated to any of those things. You're not obligated to let people stay friends on your Facebook account or see anything but your public posts. You're not obligated to make sure that people who aren't committed to your safety are actually still getting access to your information. Your safety, your mental and physical wellness and safety, and your children's safety comes first before anyone else's obligation to any access to any information of any kind for you. So it is perfectly okay for you to get some peace of mind. I know I recommend a lot of times that every 3 months or so, go ahead and just do a run through of all your friends on Facebook, Instagram, and their mutual friends. Just look it through and trim down. Just purge. It's okay. You can do that. They don't have a God-given right to access your posts and your information. Don't post stuff online that can give people any idea of what you're going through or what your plans are or what you're doing. Make sure that you're not leaking information unintentionally that could endanger you by still having shared Google accounts, any search engines that are still logged into old family Google accounts, Google Maps that are logged into old former shared Google accounts where your ex might have the passwords. Google is notorious for continuing to collect information, and if he has your password, or it was a shared account, he can go into activity, my activity in Google, and Google settings, and he can see every single browser stroke, every search, every query, every GPS trip, everything you've searched in Maps, every time you've searched narcissistic abuse or searched for a different lawyer or gotten information from a domestic violence shelter, you can see all of that. You can track every place you've been with the check-ins from your car and your phone through the Google Maps. If you have I know like some car insurances have the little plug that's like the tracker synchronizing. For example, like Progressive Insurance has a little tracker you can put in your car. Some phone plans have trackers you can put in your car. And if it's something where you are concerned about your car getting stolen or someone else driving your car or taking it places that you don't want it to go, it could be great. It can also help you get a lower insurance premium if you're a safe driver because it measures like hard braking and fast turns and accelerations and speeding and all that kind of thing. But if you're still sharing an insurance plan or a phone plan and and you've got one of those on your car, he knows everywhere you are at all times. He can check it from an app on his phone or the browser with a service provider. And you're leaking that information that can contribute to a lack of safety. So yeah, emails, phones, social media passwords, car trackers that you don't even think about, GPS, searches, all of these things, if they're not reset, cut off, passwords changed, accounts changed, close those old accounts, shut them down, get rid of those things off your car, you can be leaking information that you don't even realize while you are trying to get safe and stay safe. If you have a Ring or Nest home security system and he still has access to it, he can be checking your comings and goings and anyone you have over, and with some of the accounts even listening in to the audio inside your house from those security systems. So these are things that you can do to make sure that you are not leaking information and being tracked, harassed, monitored, stalked. Another thing is, once he's out of the house, change your Wi-Fi router ASAP. New codes, new passwords, all the things. Because if it's the same router that he had access to, he can park on the street, down the street, access it, and potentially access your Wi-Fi search history and change things if he's techie. And if he is motivated, even if he's not techie, but motivated to watch some YouTube videos. So like there's a ton of things that he shouldn't be doing, but if he's motivated by control and domination and power and desperation, there's a whole lot of things that you could be vulnerable at. All of these things may contribute to this vague sense of unease where you feel like, oh my goodness, like I feel like I'm under observation. I don't know how. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know where I'm leaking information. And so these are steps that you can take to really cut down your leakage of information and make yourself safer and your kids safer. Another thing a lot of people don't think about is that on your medical records, in your hospital records, medical charts, all your specialists, your GP, everything, typically we put down spouse as emergency contact, next of kin, and they have the right then to come in and look at your medical records and get your medical records. So you want to make sure that you notify every single provider everywhere that they need to remove that next of kin from your spouse, that emergency contact, if you're worried about your spouse, your ex-spouse being having that surveillance on you medically. Now you probably have to keep them on for notification for the kids, unless you have court orders that allow you not to, but for your own, you can take them off of all the things and put someone on that you trust. Make sure it's someone you really, truly trust. Let me see, thinking about some other things here. So yeah, medical, technology. If you don't have a security system, and there's any way possible for you to get one that has outside cameras, get it. Especially if you feel like there's any chance that your home has been tampered with or anything else. Another thing that can be really, really good, here's a good one, especially if you're having issues with post-separation child exchanges, get rear and front dashboard cams and have those recording at your rear and front, back and forward dashboard cams in your car at all times at every child exchange, especially if you feel like there's any risk also of him showing up where you are grocery shopping or at the kids' schools or at any other time and place. Just get those things, put them in place. Another one, banking information. I know of one case where the abused spouse had to go up 4 separate times to get her ex's name removed again from her personal accounts. So once you know someone's name, mother's maiden name, social security number, date of birth, phone number, address, it's pretty darn easy, especially if you are a spouse who also shares the same last name. It's pretty easy to be like, oh my goodness, can I speak to a bank manager? Somehow there's been some glitch and my name got taken off of our family accounts. It's not showing up anymore. But here's my wife's stuff, and I don't know how this happened. You guys' system is really messed up. And they can get right back on your accounts. Is it technically supposed to be able to happen? No. But I know of many, many cases where it has. And so once you are no longer financially entangled, it's smart to make sure that your accounts are at a completely different banking institution. My favorite is to go with a small local bank, local credit union, where you can get to know the bank manager, the account managers, let them know that you deal with cyber stalking and that you want extra security on your account. Get to where you know them. Drop in, make your deposits in person, be super friendly, make friends so that they will look out for you and let you know if anyone else shows up or tries to get on your account. It can be super helpful, super lifesaver. Same with credit cards. Make sure that you don't have any shared credit cards. Run a credit check on yourself regularly to make sure that nobody has opened debts or loans or credit cards or whatever else in your name using your identity without your knowledge. Do it regularly, like every 3 to 6 months. These are just some of the ways that I know of that women deal with being taken advantage of and stalked and harassed in post-separation. Now there's a ton of other things that can happen. I mean, there can be post-separation abuse with children's medical stuff and with ongoing asset development or distribution rather, and with other controlling of information. But you start by locking down all of these. You're going to make sure you're going to narrow down the avenues of unhealthy access to your information. And then if you feel like you are being stalked or harassed otherwise, it's time to break out some of your spy skills. It's time to not take the same route home all the time. It's time to make sure that you are not stuck in grooves of behavior that are super predictable. And that can be really frustrating. Because you know what? It's not fair. It's not fair. It's wrong. You didn't ask for this. It's an extra burden. It drains your life energy, your vital awareness. It is exhausting to live in hypervigilance. Some of the trauma tools that we have coming in a future toolkits here in the Sisterhood will include more gradual, increased information on understanding how we get stopped in these hypervigilance states and the toll that it takes on our bodies. We're not going to get into all of that today because it takes a little bit of time and there's several layers to communicating and understanding that information. But I do want to give you some really helpful information about staying safe. Not just staying safe. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull my notes from Coach Bren because she's our ITR certified trauma coach, and ITR is instinctual trauma response. She's our certified trauma coach with the ITR method, which is fantastic stuff. Oh my goodness. As far as helping people to be able to really move past deep trauma responses. It's incredible. I'm so glad for Coach Bren being on our team. But let me look at some of her notes, because she gave me some bullet points to share with you during this session. Okay, so for this part, I want to go over and share some of the stuff that Coach Bren has outlined. And because I am doing this on location, I'm going to audio record it, and then I will add some other footage from our trip here. So when we are dealing with our nervous system getting dysregulated, it's super normal. If you're feeling like your nervous system is dysregulated because you're dealing with feeling stalked, with feeling harassed, with feeling followed, and you can't put your finger on it, maybe you can't prove it, that's normal. You are not abnormal. When we get safe, our nervous system gets regulated. I know of cases where women were surrounded by safe friends and they were able to just get hugs or massages, healthy, safe touch. It completely began to regulate their nervous system in different ways. So when we are safe and our nervous system is getting regulated, we can give our bodies safety signals. Logic does not do this for us, okay? This is not something that you can logic yourself into. The autonomic nervous system is generally operating in one of three different states. They are calm, safe, and socially engaged, or they're in fight and flight, or you're in freeze mode. And yes, there are other states like fawning and self-repair and an altered state of consciousness, but those tend to fall under the freeze category. So if you're finding yourself chronically in a state other than calm, safe, and socially engaged, it's because your body and your nervous system is not feeling safe. And you know what? If your body and your nervous system is telling you this, it's because it is picking up on things that says you are not safe. So listen to it. It doesn't matter, but maybe you're out and you actually are safer. You may not be fully safe, but you are safer, and you're out of it, and your body is still freaking out. So it doesn't matter what your logical brain knows. Your cortex is not in charge when you're in a fight, flight, or freeze state. If your body or your nervous system is getting cues that you are unsafe, it doesn't matter whether or not you're actually safe. It's all about the feeling of safety and calm. Safety cues come through connection. When we feel authentically connected to someone else, our nervous systems begin to co-regulate with the other person so that both can experience a state of safety. We can co-regulate our child, for example, by speaking to them with a soothing tone of voice, or singing, or humming. We get safety cues through petting a dog or another calm pet, spending time in nature, noticing the environment, sometimes even going barefoot on the ground and just getting in touch with the sensory grounding connection through our senses can help us to feel calm and safe. If you are feeling dysregulated, your logical brain knows that you're safe, but your body is feeling dysregulated. It's important to give yourself the opportunity to get cues of safety and calm. That can include those sensory things. So here's a list. A really warm, soft, super fuzzy blanket. Sit and stroke it. A pet that snuggles, and your body ends up co-regulating and matching your heartbeat to theirs. That sense of calm and safety. If you have healthy people around you that can give you hugs and connection and healthy touch that makes you feel safe, it can be a very healthy way to co-regulate and get your nervous system back into the calm, safe, and socially engaged state. You may need these things for years after leaving your unsafe, abusive situation, and that is okay. The important part is to be able to recognize that these safety cues can come through connections. When you recognize that you're getting dysregulated, you immediately begin searching for cues that you can give yourself to tell yourself that you are safe now. At the same time, I do not want to encourage anyone to ignore accurate intuition or gaslight yourself. It's one thing to need to give yourself intentional safety cues for grounding when you know you are safe, but your body is dysregulated and your nervous system is dysregulated. It's another thing to realize you are unsafe and then gaslight yourself into thinking, oh, well, I just need to ignore this. Maybe it's not as bad as it used to be, but I can just ignore it. Don't do that. That is not what we're talking about here. Don't deceive yourself and gaslight yourself into thinking that you don't need safety when your brain is telling you that you do. Listen. So it's a bit of a tightrope to walk. Yeah, it's a bit of a tightrope to walk. You need to be able to, the goal is to get to the point where you can listen to your instincts. And if something is telling you, hey, this is unsafe, we know this is unsafe because we've been through things like this before and we recognize the signs, then you need to listen to that. Listen to your intuition. Take it seriously. And then the other goal is to learn to discern when your body is just in a trauma response mode and you are dysregulated because of the need for safety and connection, even though your brain is telling you, yes, you are safe, but your body is just not caught up. Because we can't logic ourselves into feeling safe when we know when our bodies are dysregulated. And that's why we need to be able to give ourselves those comfort cues, safety and connection. All right. I am super interested in any of your questions, thoughts. I know this session was a little bit different than how we normally do it because I didn't have my laptop, and we're here at the Spy Museum, which is just, I mean, how perfect is that? So I'm going to make sure Coach Bren and I will stay active in the comments. We're going to make sure that we are here to answer any questions that come up over the next little bit. And, of course, you can always message either one of us on our Facebook pages or just ask at wilderness2wild.com if you have a question you want to get answered by email. You can drop questions underneath the session here today. Drop questions in the app, and definitely tell a friend about the app because you know what? So much good stuff in here. And let us know how you're enjoying it. Also, we'll see you in a couple weeks for our live Q&A. Make sure if you have other questions you want answered in the live Q&A, drop them in the form that is underneath here in the video below, underneath the video here, and make sure that you have submitted any questions that you have there. We check those on a regular basis, and then we will answer them at our next Q&A session. All right. Have a great couple of weeks. We'll see you soon.